what can you tell us about the truth, about what we face today?
There's a through line beyond policing, because remember, the folks who chased and killed Ahmaud Arbery were not police officers. You know, Amy Cooper, the woman who was videotaped in Central Park, inconvenienced perhaps, but not threatened by the black man who asked her to leash her dog. I mean, she wasn't a cop, but she understood that pretending to be threatened by this black man could rain holy hell down on his head. And the through line there about presumption of guilt, presumption of dangerousness, extends to presumption of incompetence, ambition, or drive, presumptions that have infected the way we make decisions and conduct ourselves, the way we create opportunity or not, the way we expand the faculty at Harvard Business School or the team, you know, in any number of the workplaces I have worked. And we have to get at that too. That's where really I was going. And I think that it'd be important to make fundamental change in the way we think. It would be a missed opportunity if we didn't get on with the business and of rethinking how we do a bunch of things that enable and support communities and individuals that are affected by the same soiled roots. Let me put it that way.
Soiled roots. So you didn't use the word racism. And that's the word that's percolating in my mind when you talked about through line.
Yeah.
And you talked about why we're not hiring Black men and women in our organizations at the top levels and other.
No, that's a fair observation. I'm not conscious of it, but it's interesting. There's so many racist experiences I've had in my own life, even when I was in office, that I find myself sort of swallowing down because that's what you have to do to function. I'm probably a little more constrained than I ought to be, because I sometimes fall into that bad habit of thinking racism is only the name calling, and as opposed to the structural racism, I had to learn early to take a chance on an open heart, if you will. Because, you know, you can get burned really, really badly and in some cases, really permanently. It can make you bitter. Racism can do that. Yeah. Hate can do that. I step back and I think we've made a kind of an uneasy peace with non-discrimination laws in this country, but we've never really come to terms with integration. It's about whom you choose to have at your dinner table, with whom you socialize, what kinds of conversations feel inbounds and out of bounds. And there's some emotional risk that it takes, especially professional Black and brown people are expected to take, are trained to take, but that doesn't always come back. And that can be tough.
Oh, yes.
That's work that America has to do, I think.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And sometimes, too, with Black and brown professionals, oftentimes the numbers are so few. There's no critical mass. So you don't have the protection and the support system and the mentoring and the champions. And many people are very much alone. Yeah. Which is why the wave of organizations that have come out saying we need to do more, hire more at the moment is really heartening. I'm really encouraged by that, and it's quite needed.
If there were ever arguments that there were no qualified opportunities around, that's gone. What does it mean to be qualified? You know, there's so much good work that's gone into skills-based hiring rather than credential-based hiring. And I say this as somebody, you know, graduated from Harvard. I'm proud of that credential, but I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about that goes right to this issue, I think, of structural racism. There's a healthcare organization that was looking in the last couple of weeks to hire a senior person. You know, they had a great job description and they got down to the requirements, and in there it said must be a tenured faculty at a major medical school. The only reason that was in there is because the last 2 or 3 had been tenured faculty in a major medical. As soon as you have it in there, and by the way, it bears not at all on the skill set necessary to do that job. But they were always doing what they'd always done, and so always getting what they'd always gotten. You have to be so intentional about examining what it takes to actually do a job, what it takes to actually lead people as you're making promotion decisions. Because if we don't, the notion of leaving to chance something as important as figuring out how to draw on and make use of and to encourage the talent we know that exists in every American community will hurt us economically as it has socially.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And you need leadership, you need courage, you need vision to do those things. And I've always said the pipeline problem, or this pipeline dilemma that I hear about oftentimes, is a fallacy. If you're looking for extraordinary people of color for your organization, ask people of color. They know where they are.
That's
So
right.